Hi, this is Larry, W6WUH in California. And I want to show you before radio is going off to a new home next week. But I want to show it to you before it does. This is an ECI Courier, which was a high-end double conversion 11-meter transceiver built in the early 60s. Uses a frame good RF amplifier in the front end, a nuvistor mixer, good low noise receiver, about 10th microvolt sensitivity, tunable receiver, good squelch, good noise limiter, very good squelch, RF gain control, good S meter, relative RF output, good noise limiter. It's got a tunable receiver. It's got 3 adjustable fixed tuned receiving positions, so you set a little trimmer so that you can match up to your transmit frequencies. If you're using crystal control, you want to monitor a set frequency. You just set it right there and you don't have to look around for it. This does have a spot feature, so you can find your transmit frequency on the dial very easily. Listen to the audio here. W6WUH, W6WUH. Got lots of audio. It uses a 6EM5 final tube, which is capable of about 15 watts of plate dissipation. The fan just went on in my heater, makes a lot of noise. But the power supply limits the carrier output to about, 3 watts or so. However, here's a nifty little mobile linear amplifier. This was a type accepted amplifier. This is a legal tube type grounded grid amplifier that was made for Class B, as in Bravo citizens band, rather than Class D. And with this nifty little amplifier, we're looking at, it's warmed up here, about 15 watts of audio.
Hello, W6WUH.
So that takes us up to about 15 watts of carrier with this limited power supply that I have on here now. I think it'll do about 20 watts. And that's 60-80 watts PEP output, not too shabby, up from, 12 watts PEP or so from this barefoot. And here's a little matching test set that went with it. And this has an SWR bridge, RF power output, modulation meter, and allows you to also monitor the receiver through a little diode. And it's got an antenna, so you've got relative field strength as well, so you could use it to peak your antenna. Nice little matching little piece, and the three make a nice vintage station. The interesting thing about this radio is that it on the A75, the early version, used 6.7 megacycle crystals. So when you bump it up to 10 meters, you're using 7 megacycle crystals. So standard surplus 7.2 megacycle crystals put you right at 29. But you also can drive it with any VFO that's got 40 meter output. So hook up your HG10, VF1, whatever ham VFO you've got, and it'll drive it fine. The later model, the 1M, went to 3rd overtone crystals, so you'd have to modify that oscillator a little bit to make it take 40 meter drive, but this one just does it right out of the box. It was, let me stop for a minute. So here's the specifications from the manual. Better than 1/4 microvolt sensitivity, and it's really down closer to 1/10 microvolt. 4 kC wide at 6 dB down, so the audio is quite good. Adjacent channel rejection better than 70 dB down, so it's got good sharp skirts. Double conversion. Squelch sensitivity less than 1/10 of microvolt. See what else it tells you here. So all the other stuff. 4.5 watts of audio is available, so that's you can tell that's why it modulates so well. And uses a 6BQ5 modulator, which is a good hefty audio tube. And like it says, essentially drift free. It sure as heck is. And really nice radio. I don't think I'm going to take it out of the cabinet right now, because I'm getting ready to pack this up and take it apart, take it away. But let's just take a look at how the thing's made. Here's the front end board, RF amplifier, nuvistor mixer. Uses a single crystal for both the first and the second injection. And when I had to convert it from 27 megacycles to 29, I had to do a whole bunch of number crunching to figure out exactly how to make this all come out, and the IF had to shift a little bit. But basically, it's got a 10.7 meg IF, originally 10.1, followed by a 455 kC IF. And those got shifted a little bit. The original injection, the original mixer frequency was 8.535 kCs, 8535, 8.5 megacycles. And the new mixer crystal went up to 9.175 megs or 9.155, either one would work. And the IF frequency, center frequency, moved from, so that gave an injection frequency of originally 17 megacycles and then 8.5 megacycles, and that changed to 18.3 megacycles for the first injection and 9.15 for the second. And the IF frequency moved from basically 10.1 was the center of it. Let's see, let's look at the design centers here. 10 megacycles was the design center of it on 11 meters, and that moved to 10.6, 10.7 for 29 megahertz. So what we did was we changed the mixer frequency. We moved the first IF frequency up from whatever it was, what I say, 10 to 10.7. So it moved up 700 kCs, but it was just a slug adjustment. I didn't have to trim any coils or change the resonating caps for any coils. It just tuned right up. So a lot of number crunching to figure out the crystals, but it worked out okay. So this is the transmitter section here, and it's a two-section oscillator, buffer driver, and then a straight-through final amplifier tube. So I think this is a 12BY7, pretty classic, using a 7 meg crystal, double into 14, double into 28, and then driving the 6EM5 final straight through. And so that's very, very simple, and because it doesn't use third overtone crystals, it's just a piece of cake. The IF strip is just real typical, a 10.7 meg IF and a 455 IF with a diode detector. It it's got a 6AL5 as the noise limiter, which is mounted under the chassis. Works very well. And this is the receiver, tunable oscillator, crystal oscillator. And in this case, we're not using any receive crystals at all. We're just working. Actually, this doesn't use receive crystals. It has fixed tune trimmers, which are these guys right here. So you can preset 3 frequencies with these trimmers, or use the tunable receiver. And then crystal controlled transmitter with 12 crystal positions on a switch, one of which should be your VFO on 10 meters. So right now we've got a couple of transmit crystals in there. We've got one for 27.994 and 29.009, which is what you're listening to
Here, W6WUH.
And with the amplifier off,
W6WUH.
so there you go. Nifty little radio. This is going down to JNY6L down in the high desert in Southern California. And Globe King is coming home with me, so I'm very happy about that. And spent a lot of work getting this thing on the air, but not much 10 meter AM activity up here, and I don't really have a very good antenna for it, but Jay's in a better position to use it down there in Southern California. Radio's a little dirty. It's just been sitting on the shelf for a while, so the controls are a little dirty. See how good that noise blanker works? That's a good noise limiter. So let's do this. Let's turn the off gain down. Set the squelch. See how smooth the operation of that squelch is? It's really a wonderful sensitive squelch with a lot of gradation possible. It's not just, you know, on or off. So I think it's a really wonderful squelch. Now, I have to admit that when I was 12 years old, before I got my ham license, I borrowed one of these from a guy and was using it on 11 meters. And it was, I had previously had a little Hallicrafters 5 or 6 tube radio, a CB3A, and it just really was a crummy radio. It really just wasn't good. And I got this thing, and you know, all of a sudden, guys that were 20 miles away, 25 miles away on the other side of the hills, who could never hear me with the Hallicrafters, could hear me all the time, very solidly with this.
W6WUH on 10 meters.
And I mean, this is a swell goddamn radio. Any way you cut it. And it's a swell radio on 10 meters, good selectivity, good sensitivity. With a different power supply, it would be capable of quite a bit of power barefoot. But the little amplifier solves that problem very easily. It's kind of a no-brainer. Got nice controls on it. Let's look at the front of this amplifier for a minute. And I can't remember if it's 6DQ5 or 6DQ6. I always get them confused, but it's a smaller pair in grounded grid, transistorized supply. So it's 12 volt DC. Transistor supply gives you the B+, runs in grounded grid, so it's unconditionally stable. And standard plate tuning and loading controls right on the front, relatively output power meter on the front, standard SO239s on the back. So very, very easy to use, very clean, not like those solid state amplifiers, which are not only, they're illegal because they're so dirty, But this is grounded grid, and it's nice and clean, and tunes very smoothly. Piece of cake. Okay, so anyway, that's a little look at the ECI Courier, the A75 model, converted to 29 megahertz to keep it off the chicken band. Nice radio. By the way, this uses a low noise version of the 12AX7 in the mic amp speech amp, a hi-fi tube, a high fidelity tube. That stupid tube, probably a $125 tube if I know the hi-fi guys, all by itself. So when they built this radio, they were really thinking about how to make a really high quality transceiver, and they really did the job. W6WUH in California. Thanks for looking at my funny little radios. I love them.